I think first and foremost, we have to come to terms with the fact that because we don't have a blood test and because it's hard to see why someone may have a psychiatric illness versus not having a psychiatric illness, we're not as understanding about it. So that if someone is in a wheelchair or someone's bleeding or someone's disfigured, while we might shun them, we certainly have some kind of sympathy for them. Yet when you see a little kid who's bouncing all over the supermarket and the mother seems completely harried and can't seem to be able to get control of her, somehow it must be her poor management skills that is causing this child to do poorly, or something the child is eating, or something the child has experienced. And unfortunately, the public is always very, very far behind the real science. So for instance, Zygmunt and Anna Freud believed that almost all psychiatric illness was caused by something your mom and dad did. Whether they did it on purpose or not didn't make a difference, but somehow there was a traumatic event that changed the trajectory of your lives, and therefore you needed a therapeutic experience that you could get unconsciously with your psychoanalyst and between you, and it could take a very long period of time, and those symptoms would disappear. And it didn't make a difference if the symptoms were inattention, hyperactivity, or whether it was sadness and irritability or anxiety and worry. So the public still believes very much that these are not as real and are, unfortunately, they haven't grasped the fact that we know these are no-fault brain disorders with very strong genetic influences. And how do we know that they're genetic? And there's lots of evidence. So that if I have ADHD and I have a twin brother who's identical, which means we share identical genetic material, there's a 99% chance that he will have ADHD. And if I have a fraternal twin brother, what are the chances, or fraternal twin, brother or sister, we share the same amount of genetic material as any set of siblings, and therefore, if I have ADHD, he has about a 70% chance of having ADHD. So quite clearly, there's a very strong genetic component. The other way we look at it is adoption studies. So if I have ADHD and I produce a child that is put up for adoption, that child will have the same risk of having ADHD, whether he grew up in my house or not. He will have nothing to do with the risk that his adoptive father brings to the table and his parenting style. So we know that genetic influences affect whether or not you get these illnesses, and by those genetic influences will affect brain structure and will affect brain functioning, and therefore put you at risk for a psychiatric illness.